Get great savings from the one that gives you real value always. TM Pick and Pay. It's time for the news.
We're broadcasting live from our Pocket Soul studios right here in Highlands, Harare. My name is Zain Jamo and welcome to the main news. And of course, it's always a lovely evening to you, Joyce.
Well, a lovely evening to you, Zain. Once again, welcome to tonight's edition of the main news. My name is Joyce Mabika. Susan Masona is on sign language.
And of course, later on, Marilyn Gwena will be joining us from our Montrose studios. But we kick off this bulletin with these headlines.
Zimbabwe prepares to host extraordinary session.
Issues to be discussed include the developments in Mozambique and the forthcoming polls in Namibia.
Zimbabwe and South African provinces collaborate for development to revive the binational Trans-Limpopo Special Development Initiative. And later on in sport, a Zimbabwe rugby team, the Sables, thumped the United Arab Emirates 62-12 to kick off their Asian tour on a good note this Tuesday evening in Dubai.
And now for the news in detail. Zimbabwe will host an extraordinary session of SADC heads of state from the 16th to the 20th of this month, where leaders are expected to discuss key regional issues.
Southern African Development Community's SADC leaders will convene in Harare for an extraordinary session in less than a fortnight to deliberate on a number of issues facing the region, including developments in Mozambique and the forthcoming polls in Namibia. At a post-cabinet media briefing held in Harare this Tuesday, the Minister of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, Dr. Jenfen Muskwere, stated that preparations to host the event are at an advanced stage.
The nation is informed that an extraordinary summit of SADC heads of state and government is scheduled to be held in Harare from the 16th to the 20th of November 2024, primarily to address emerging issues of regional significance. The summit is also expected to be briefed on political events in the region, including the recent elections in Mozambique and Botswana and the upcoming polls in Namibia. Preparations for hosting are at an advanced stage, and the technical subcommittees have already started convening meetings to prepare for the extraordinary summit. The subcommittees will ride on the already established protocols which facilitated the successful hosting of the 44th SADC summit in order to ensure the seamless convening of the extraordinary summit.
Meanwhile, the region continues to strengthen integration systems after member states agreed on a memorandum of understanding for the establishment of a renewable energy center.
The MOA between SADC member states regarding the establishment of a SADC center for renewable energy and energy efficiency in Namibia will allow Zimbabwe to join the SADC region in facilitating access to modern and clean energy and improved energy security across the region by promoting market-based uptake of renewable energy and energy-efficient technologies.
Other important highlights from the briefing focused on the agricultural roadmap for 2025, which has projected an expansion of hectarage for cereal production.
For 2025 summer season plan aims to increase production of cereals to 3,274,000 metric tons against the 744,271 metric tons obtained during the 2023-2024 summer season. The overall production volumes of major crops are expected to increase by 347% from a mere 915,000 metric tons to over 4 million metric tons. The production target for cereals is 3.3 million metric tons while that for pulses is 819,000 metric tons.
To curb leakages, government notes it will tighten the noose on individuals fingered in the abuse of inputs.
The measures include the blacklisting of any official involved in the input abuse scandals, the banning of ward committees involved in inputs abuse, and implementing an improved standard operating procedure.
Meanwhile, Zimbabwe launched its second space satellite station this Tuesday, a development expected to enhance weather monitoring. Government also revealed a joint venture initiative for the upgrading, construction, and tolling of the Harare-Nyamapanda Road and the Nyamapanda border post. Theophilus Chuma, ZBC News, Harare.
On an exciting note, Zimbabwe has taken another significant step in space exploration with the launch of its second satellite, ZimSat-2, this Tuesday from Russia. This follows the launch of the country's inaugural satellite, ZimSat-1, in November 2022. Let's get more.
In Kursk, Russia, ZimSat-2's successful launch underscores Zimbabwe's dedication towards a space presence.
ZimSat, equipped with cutting-edge technology and advanced sensors, this satellite will enable us to monitor and manage our natural resources, assess agricultural productivity, track environmental challenges, and respond effectively to natural disasters.
ZimSat-2 marks a collaborative engineering feat where Russian and ZIM GSA engineers, alongside Zimbabwean students, designed and built the satellite.
Our partnership with the International Space Agency, particularly our esteemed colleagues in Russia, has been invaluable. I would like to extend my gratitude to our dedicated team at the Zimbabwe National Geospatial and Space Agency, ZINGSA, and Southwest State University, whose hard work and determination have been the driving force behind this project.
Zimbabwe launched its satellite ZimSat-1 back in 2022, and engineers continue to collaborate with international scientists towards launching more satellites for a country seeking to attain a middle-income society status by 2030. Farai Gwaze, ZBC News, Harare.
Over 600 million United States dollars in mining projects are lined up for Zimbabwe next year as the nation strives to attain an upper middle income society by 2030.
A mining industry prospects for 2025 report by the Chamber of Mines in Zimbabwe indicates that the importance of the resource extraction activities in achieving Vision 2030 aspirations due to growing investor confidence. Gold mining units are dominating the value of the projects as money will be spent on exploration and expansion of operations. The coal industry will also inject capital in operations, while the ferrochrome industry has lined up new investments. Platinum mining firms will be rolling out new projects, while the lithium mining sector has announced plans for smelters and processing units. Diamond mining firms have also announced a roadmap in expanding projects. The report notes that investments will depend on a stable fiscal policy regime, certainty in mining policy, and access to capital. Highlights of the report include a 37% drop in accidents this year, with mining exports are expected to reach $6 billion next year from over $5 billion in 2024. The report notes that as the resource sector complements the Vision 2030 aspirations, employment will increase by 3% to over 58,000 in 2025 from 57,000 this year. Government's thrust on domestic resource mobilization in line with the upper middle income society aspirations will receive a boost as Treasury is expected to earn over $1 billion from mining tax payments next year. Stanley James, ZBC News, Harare.
Zimbabwe is on a drive to improve maternal health outcomes through implementation of a new e-learning platform for midwifery training. Our health editor gives us more.
Launched in June by the Ministry of Health and Child Care in partnership with the United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, and supported by the Health Resilience Fund, the platform is standardizing midwifery education nationwide. The innovative platform provides access to standardized learning content, enhances research collaboration, and enables students to learn at their own pace through web and mobile platforms. UNFPA East and Southern Africa Regional Director, Ms. Lydia Zigomo, who is in the country for the SADC Health Ministers Conference underway in Harare, had an opportunity to tour the e-learning center at Salim Mugabe Hospital School of Midwifery.
Midwifery is still an important part of the health package that is required for Zimbabwe if we are to get on top of maternal deaths and ensure that mothers survive childbearing and also that they give birth to healthy babies.
Zimbabwe's Ministry of Health and Child Care, Director of Nursing Services, Sister Nyaradzai Chiwara, noted the platform aligns with regional and international best practices.
When they are taught the correct thing and the current information, they know how to manage a patient in labor.
Students participating in the pilot program hailed the platform as a game changer.
We're benefiting a lot since I can access the e-learning portal at my own pace.
We are now able to learn the same information countrywide.
We are able to download videos which we can be able to use during discussions. We might have arguments and we just play the video.
The platform is equipped to handle up to 2,000 users and comes complete with a range of teaching aids like discussion rooms, forums, anti-plagiarism software, quizzes, and exam formats. While the immediate focus is on midwifery, the vision extends to incorporating other health workers onto the platform, ultimately strengthening the entire healthcare system. Abigail Tembo, ZBC News, Harare.
Ethiopian ambassador to Zimbabwe, His Excellency Rashid Mohammed Abdul Wahid, has paid a courtesy call on the First Lady Dr. Auxilia Mnangagwa at her Zimbabwe House offices this Tuesday, where he expressed admiration for Dr. Mnangagwa's environmental management initiatives, among other life-transforming projects.
The good work being done by First Lady Dr. Auxilia Mnangagwa in addressing environmental challenges continues to charm the global community, which expresses keenness to work with her. Against this background, Dr. Mnangagwa held a high-level meeting with the Ethiopian ambassador to Zimbabwe, His Excellency Rashid Mohammed Abdul Wahid, who paid a courtesy call on her to deliberate on various issues with regards to environmental management and road safety. Dr. Mnangagwa, who is also the country's environment patron, underscored the need for Africa to intensify awareness campaigns on environmental management, educating people, especially the younger generation, on the importance of preserving vegetation and wildlife. Amai Mnangagwa also highlighted the need to protect Africa from man-made environmental problems by spreading issues of environmental management, especially among youths, by having exchange programs with Ethiopia. The First Lady emphasized that she will invite the Ethiopian ambassador for tree planting initiatives and road safety campaigns, especially this season when we are getting into Christmas holidays. The First Lady also highlighted the need to prevent road carnage through awareness campaigns, especially during this period when the festive season is approaching. Inspired by Amai Mnangagwa's sterling works in environmental management, the ambassador proposed collaboration on environmental initiatives such as tree planting and seedling cultivation to complement efforts by the First Lady in addressing environmental challenges in the country. The Ethiopian ambassador also spoke about the Green Legacy initiative being spearheaded by his country's Prime Minister, Dr. Abiy Ahmed, which saw the country planting about 600 million trees in a single day. The country's target is 20 billion trees in 5 years.
Today's meeting was planned to meet, Her Excellency, the First Lady of Zimbabwe, Dr. Auxilia Mnangagwa, to discuss issues related to environmental change and what we can do about it. Because Ethiopia nowadays is initiating, a Green Legacy initiated by our Prime Minister, in which we are planning to plant about 20 billion trees in 5 years. So this year alone, in one day, we planted about 615 million trees. So we want to see how we can maybe emulate that experience to Zimbabwe, to closely work with the First Lady by mobilizing other embassies and other stakeholders, so that we can at least contribute our fair share in environmental change of Zimbabwe.
Taking a leaf from Dr. Mnangagwa's works in road safety, the ambassador also explored potential areas for collaboration to improve road safety in Zimbabwe.
We have also discussed issues related to road safety. We need to contribute our fair share to address some of the challenges encountering, the Zimbabwe, because we have the same challenge also in my country, in Ethiopia. So we can share experience or work together to identify, common challenges, and we can set up, technical teams to work together in addressing some of the challenges related to road safety.
The Ethiopian ambassador also commended Dr. Mnangagwa for numerous initiatives which are meant to preserve the country's rich cultural heritage. Dr. Mnangagwa, in conjunction with the Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe and the Zimbabwe Republic Police, has always been involved in road safety awareness campaigns, especially just before Christmas and New Year holidays, which are highly associated with traveling. Colette Msanyera, ZBC News, Harare.
The country's irrigation infrastructure has transformed tremendously, with government confident to achieve the target of putting 350,000 hectares under irrigation by 2025.
The accelerated irrigation rehabilitation plan launched by government in 2020 is now bearing fruit, with most farmers who used to operate using sprinklers now moving to the new technology, these center pivots.
We are very thankful of the land reform program, because now you can actually see that if you go across the country, most of the farmers, in fact, we can actually say probably about 70% or more of the farmers, they now have the pivot systems that we have. And also, it's still improving. I'm sure by the time 2030, when we get there, majority of the farmers in the country will actually be using pivots as we see it. So this is actually a great improvement.
Tantine dambudziko rema irrigations, but nikuya kwakaita macenter pivot tarerukirwa sterek. So kuti mukatasa ndiri panapa, so ndiri control ma pivot SR3. Taisa ma overhead aitopa labor kuti vanhu vakawanda vaipinda ipapo. But because zvakati koshera sterek plus yield yedu iri kubuda zvakanaka.
A number of irrigation development alliances which will see an additional over 100,000 hectares being put under irrigation by 2025 have been signed on top of several irrigation joint ventures.
We see 2024 now, the area has gone up significantly to 217,000 hectares as area under irrigation, but much more importantly, the annual average area that we have brought under irrigation is about 9,600 hectares.
The country has the capacity to irrigate 2 million hectares of land, and if all farmers put their hands on the deck, the country can achieve the food and nutritional security in line with Vision 2030. Tendai Munengwa, ZBC News, Goromonzi.
A government has commended the Zion Christian Church for supporting Vision 2030 through spearheading community development programs.
As the country battles the El Nino-induced drought, the Zion Christian Church, through its philanthropic organization, Rugare Community Relief Services, has donated 30 tons of maize to vulnerable groups in Masvingo Province. The consignment, which was handed over to Masvingo Minister of State for Provincial Affairs and Devolution, Honorable Ezra Chadzamira, this Monday, also benefited vulnerable church members, including widows, orphans, the elderly and persons with disability.
Tinosingovona tichizviitirwa nehurumende, asi nhasi tinomufaro mukuru nokuti bishop vakatiti chirikadzi dzose musaenda kumusha, pane zvandinoda kukuitirai, saka ini ndinotenda zvikuru.
Chokwadi panguva ino yatakuenda mumakomo kudyara ndipo patinoshayiwa chekudya zvakanyanyisa nezvishoma zvatakawana kana tikatoshaya zvazvakupereredza. Tinotenda kereke nekuda kuziva kuti muno Masvingo mune zhara.
Church leader Bishop Nehemiah Mtendi said the church has an obligation to assist the needy, encouraging communities to participate in agriculture activities that guarantee food security at household level.
Katika pipe irrigation and drainage, yakazviwana ikapromisa 30 tons.
Honorable Chadzamira commended the ZCC Church for supporting government programs that ensure improved livelihoods.
Sangano rino rinoraramisa vanhu vemuprovinzi medu tachipfurikidza nenyaya dzehealth, mahealth facilities. Vane zvakare vanopfurikidza nekurima, mukaona vanorima muno masvingo ndo vanorima kudarika mafamasi ose vachiisa kuGNB. Donzo iroro nderekuraramisa province yedu yemasvingo.
The ZCC Church is contributing significantly to food security in Masvingo province, with particular focus on maize, wheat and milk production. Mes Matina, ZBC News, Masvingo.
Well, speaking of wheat, production of wheat is set to increase this summer following the successful unveiling of the new summer wheat seed hybrid variety by the local researchers. Let's get more.
As stakeholders in the agricultural sector have converged in Harare to brainstorm and make their way forward on how major African wheat-producing countries, including Zimbabwe, can empower their farmers with the right seed and technology to produce high wheat yields.
Some of the activities that are envisaged under this project are to come up with a wheat seed roadmap, and we disseminate the information through innovation platforms, meaning that all the participants in the wheat value chain are involved in this initiative. And we aim to have certified seed, field days to popularize the best bed technologies and also develop good agricultural practices for wheat production in Zimbabwe.
The Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Professor Obed Jiri, says the TAD project's main objective is to support wheat production in Africa by promoting research and innovation that will ensure production of high-yield varieties.
Taking into consideration that currently Zimbabwe and Ethiopia are the only two countries which are wheat self-sufficient, the challenge with the rest of Africa is to learn how Zimbabwe has done it and how Ethiopia has done it. So this TAT program really looks at those technologies which enable countries to be self-sufficient.
The TAT project, which is a 3-year from 2023 to 2025 program targeting high potential wheat producing African countries, aligns well with the Second Republic's vision of wheat-based food security in the face of climate change. Tendai Munengwa, ZBC News, Harare.
Inmates at Chikurubi Maximum Prison had the time of their life after they were afforded an opportunity to interact with local musicians and yesteryear soccer stars this Tuesday.
A build-up to the Harare Metropolitan Province Prisons Day, slated for the 16th of this month, has seen renowned musicians and soca legends, including Say Colors, Just Signal, Mbeo, Simon Mutambi, and Justice Majabi, joining the Zimbabwe Prisons and Correctional Services (ZPCS) Rehabilitation and Reintegration Program.
Kwane inonzi parole system ichange ichieffectwa munguva diki iri kutevera, saka hazvina basa kuti munhu anga ane makore akadini akazvibata akarifoma munomu akarekomendwa neutungamiri hwenzvimbo anokwanisa kubuda nyange makore anga akawanda. Saka zvinhu zvokuti tinoda kuti vakomana vaone kuti vave nehope pakurarama kwavo, sai that vakwanise kubuda vachinochengeta mhuri dzavo panzvimbo.
Tava nedonzvo rereintegration rekuti tinogadzirira musungwa kubuda kwake mujere. Kana tapedza kuita rehabilitation yemusungwa, tinotarisira kuti vasungwa vachazobuda zvakare vachipinda mucommunity yavakabva. Saka we expect the community kuti itibatsire kuita reintegrate vasungwa ivava.
So enlightening was the interaction as artists and soca legends had a glimpse of prison life before offering wise counsel to inmates.
Nona zviri zvinhu zvakakosha kuti tipote tichisangana nevanhu tese tiri kunzoko unosangana yaunongopindanawo nadzo wogumawo munomu.
When we come here, we speak to them, we talk to them, we interact, tozivana. Kana ari projects we do together kuitira kuti tisimudzirane.
Zvinovapa hope yekuti vangofila kuti tikuvarangarirawo
than kuti vanonga because vamwe vacho vakatopinda majeri isati atanga kuimba hatomuziva kuti colors akaita sei vanongonzwa kana muredhiyo.
Muchiuya muchitaura navo sezvataita apa unotoona kuti umwe munhu ane zvaangatoita miss out.
Philip Gwaka, an ex-inmate who discovered his artistic talent while serving a 16-year jail sentence for robbery, had the opportunity to support those looking for a second chance.
Kuva mujeri doesn't mean kuti upenyu wapera. Nyange ukanziwo makore awo atongwa akawanda sei hazvina basa. Ini ndakapika 16 years zvaisatotambirika pikutanga. Ndikuzongokanselwa zvakazotambirika.
Regardless of circumstances leading to their incarceration, inmates require effective rehabilitation, which helps them return to society and actively participate in community development. Festus Mkongoro says, ZBC News, Harare.
Indeed, hope is what keeps us going. In our next report, developing countries are poised to put strong cases for accessing their equitable share of climate funds at the forthcoming United Nations Climate Change Conference, COP29, which is set to begin in Azerbaijan next week. Let's get more.
Climate change experts are worried that Africa, besides bearing the biggest brunt of climate change consequences, is getting a very small share of funds to tackle the phenomenon. As the United Nations Annual Climate Change Summit COP29 gets underway in Azerbaijan next week, climate change expert Achford Chemere insists that parties will lobby for Africa to get its fair share of the global pace to fight climate change crisis.
It is imperative as we go into the Paris Agreement to demand for more financing to be put to support African countries to transition into the green way of development. But at the same time, we should also embrace that as African countries, we also need to develop. And to develop, we also need some financing. And climate financing becomes also critical and important. You'd realize that under the Paris Agreement, there was a commitment of 1 billion by developed countries. But this has since become inadequate to support the demands that are arising as a result of the climate crisis.
Vice Board Chairperson of the Adaptation Fund of the United Nations Framework on Climate Change, Mr. Washington Jakata, argues that Zimbabwe and other developing countries should put strong cases for the successful tapping into climate funds.
What is critical is to have a country understanding its own standing with respect to the levels of exposure to climate change. How are you being impacted? How is the country being impacted with respect to the extreme weather events? Zimbabwe has conducted several studies to this effect to ensure that we understand where we stand in terms of these climate change impacts. And we know ourselves. We know how vulnerable we are.
Huge disparities still exist in terms of inflows of climate financing into the developed world as compared to developing countries, posing significant risks to invest into renewable energy and green technologies. Owen Mandova, ZBC News, Harare.
Remember, for these and more stories in greater detail, visit our website at www.zbcnews.co.zw.
Or you can get in touch with us on our social media handles, that is at ZBC News Online.
Still to come in this bulletin. Zimbabwe and South African provinces collaborate for development to revive the bi-national Trans-Limpopo Special Development Initiative.
In sport, the Zimbabwe rugby team, the Sables, thumped the United Arab Emirates 62-22 to kick off their Asian tour on a good note this Tuesday evening in Dubai. The main news takes a breather. We'll be back with you shortly.
EcoCash gives you more. EcoCash points are our way of saying thank you for being a loyal customer. You earn points every time you use EcoCash to send money, make payments, buy airtime, or cash out. These points accumulate and can be redeemed for voice airtime, data, or SMS. You can start redeeming your points once you reach 100 points, and redemption is in multiples of hundreds. To redeem or check points balance, dial *151 *7 hash today. Terms and conditions apply. EcoCash gives you more.
Whether you run a hotel, lodge, or guest house, keep your guests entertained and coming back for more with DSTV for Business. Our DSTV stay package options match your needs and budget. Make your visitor stay unforgettable with the best channels for sport, blockbuster movies and series, kids inspiration, lifestyle, documentaries, news, and more. Contact us today and let your guests experience your business at its best with DSTV for Business.
Zim Digital set-top boxes, decoders with all the 7 local television channels and 6 national radio stations are now available for sale. The decoder will give viewers access to ZBC Jive TV, ZBC News, ZBC TV, ZTN Prime, 3K TV, Kiona TV, NRTV. No subscription is needed as all the channels are free to view. For $25 or the Zig equivalent, the decoder comes with a cable plus indoor and outdoor antenna. The decoders are available at the Broadcasting Authority of Zimbabwe, BAZ, Transmedia, and all the TV broadcasters.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Zimbabweans have been urged to jealously safeguard national peace and independence that was brought about by the sacrifices of several sons and daughters of the soil. Our chief correspondent Ruben Barwe spoke to 99-year-old war veteran Comrade Richard Mapolisa and other liberation struggle stalwarts in Harare this Tuesday.
Sekuru Richard Mapolisa, 6 months shy of turning a centenarian, is one of the heroes of the Zimbabwean struggle. He was born April 1925. He came to Harare to attend the funeral of his late comrade, Jason Chirinda, whom he was with at both the Harare and Kami prisons during the colonial period, together with the president, Comrade Emerson Dambuzo Mnangagwa. The ZBC bumped into him at Comrade Mahia's office at the ruling party headquarters in Harare. He said he worked for the president's office until his retirement 23 years ago. He told newsmen that not many, like the late Comrade Chirinda, knows him, and walked all the way from Mondoro to attend the funeral of his late colleague.
Ndinokutanga inokupiwa life kana pane mumwewo akasongerwa zvamatongerwo enyika achiti akapiwa life muuye naye kwandiri. Takaenda tese vana Lady Gundu nana Samson Manjengwa.
Yes.
Samson Manjengwa ndiye akaita petrol bombo yokwachifamba. Crew imwe zhinji yakauya maoko mangu vese vaitaurwa na president paHeroes paya.
Comrade Lobo, also known as David Mushangwe, and Comrade Mackinton, also known as Comrade William Kombozi, are 2 of the group of 4 still living of the original 8 Zanla combatants that changed the complexion of the Zimbabwean Liberation War by attacking the Salisbury fuel tanks. The 2 say they wish more could be done to the welfare of war veterans.
Varungu ndo pakatanga kuziva kuti vanhu ava this is a force to reckon with. Inini I don't mean kuti inini I am a special comrade aiwa, but inini basa randakaita inini mama comrades chaivo chaivo vanosalute kuti aiwa apa no makatita kuti tifambe extra mile.
Hatingazvirovi dundunduka asi kuti vanhu pachezvavo vanorecognize basa ratakaita. Handizivi kuti zvinozorasikira papi ipapapa asi vanhu vacho ndo vanototi pambiri
A special audit needs to be carried out by either the ruling party or government to find out the few veterans of the struggle, such as the late Comrade Chirinda or the 99-year-old Comrade Mapolisa and many others, so as to give them their befitting recognition, said Comrade Mahia, Secretary of War Veterans, Detainees and Restrictees in the ruling party ZANU-PF. Ruben Barwe, ZBC News, Harare.
We are now crossing over to our Montrose studios in Bulawayo, where we will be joined by Marilyn Gwenya to give us more news. Good evening to you, Marilyn.
Good evening and many thanks to you, Joyce and Zain. And now in our following report, the Second Republic's engagement and re-engagement drive continues to bear fruit with the high-powered delegation from South Africa's Limpopo province in Zimbabwe to revive the binational Trans-Limpopo Special Development Initiative.
South Africa's Limpopo province has pledged to work with 3 Zimbabwean provinces that include Matabeleland South, Bulawayo and Matabeleland North to revive the Zimbabwe-South Africa binational agreement of 2001, which underscores the need to develop and strengthen economic ties among provinces.
Let's join hands and protect our long-standing relations as we move forward to promote our regional economic integration. The Africa Continental Free Trade Area provides us the platform to integrate our economies, both of us. We know if we industrialize on the north side, it will also assist on the other side to increase the industrialization.
During a meeting held this Monday in Bulawayo between the South African delegation and Ministers of Provincial Affairs and Devolution for Bulawayo, Matabeleland South and Matabeleland North, Zimbabwe highlighted the need to engage in big projects and work together towards achieving economic growth.
Once we've got the Musa and the Tuli Manyange dams in place, we would then export water to the province, and it would be a green zone, Matabeleland South and Limpopo province, with these 2 dams.
We strongly believe each one of us is a driver. You need to drive this vehicle towards Vision 2030. And with you as our neighbors, with you as part of us, you are part of the process. Help us to achieve Vision 2030. Together we can make it.
The Trans-Limpopo Spatial Development Initiative is an economic vehicle expected to bring development to various provinces.
The Kwai Shangani Lake Project, a Second Republic flagship initiative, remains a beacon of hope for many as the country targets improved livelihoods through the realization of Vision 2030.
As the dam wall continues rising, there are many looking at the structure with much of hope. With climate change battering several communities, government is frantically working to deliver water through the project. Many people in Matabeleland North are excited that the Vision 2030 project will be a salvation for both humans and livestock.
At least idamu yeri likapera pamwe pakotivigira mapaipi okuti nasuwo towana mapaipi esvika kumizi yedu tingowane mvura.
Uma leli damu liphela sizasizakala kakhulu ehlelweni lwamanzi ngoba indawo esihleli kiyo idry.
Ngedamu leli sikhangelele ukuthi nxa lingaphela sibili lonke jikelele sikhangelele ukubana izifuyo zithole zizaphila kuhle, lathi thina abantu sizophila kuhle ngenxa yokuthi siyabe sesilima izithelo eziningi okwenzela ukuthi lathi sizithola ukuthi siziphilise.
Into yokuqala sinika ukubonga kakhulu kuPresident ubaba uED ngokusakhela idamu leyi iKwai Shangani. Siyabonga kakhulu ukuthi silesicelo sokuba uma ama-resources evuma idamu liphele abantu bathole amanzi. Siku-drought season abantu abalamanzi, izifuyo azilamanzi.
The Kwai Shangani Lake is premised on a multi-pronged social strategy by government an agriculture green belt, the tourism economy, hydropower generation, and a permanent solution to water woes in Bulawayo are some of the initiatives incorporated onto the project master plan. The Second Republic is on a drive to ensure that by 2030, beneficiaries of the project will be tapping into various transformative economic activities for improved livelihoods. Mhlomuli Ncube, SABC News, Hwange.
The stage is set for the second edition of the Africa Infrastructure and Built Environment Conference, which kicks off this Wednesday at the Zimbabwe International Exhibition Center in Bulawayo.
The Africa Built Environment Expo will bring together over 200 delegates and 28 exhibitors in the built environment sector, with organizers confirming everything is now in place for Bulawayo to successfully host the conference.
We are quite excited with the preparations this far. So this particular expo comes under the theme Resilient Cities, Thriving Africa, building sustainable infrastructure for economic growth. So the area of sustainability comes through, and the area of resilient cities comes through. So the current built environment space obviously seeks to align with global trends where we are talking in terms of smart cities.
The 28 exhibitors who have registered their participation are predominantly local, as the expo seeks to give players in the built environment sector an opportunity to showcase their products while creating linkages that can drive the sector to greater heights.
We just want to allow different players in this particular space. We're looking at our indigenous contractors, we're looking at equipment suppliers, we're looking at material providers, as well as policymakers in finances to come and interact and share notes on how they can move forward this particular sector. For us, it's an important sector, just as much as mining is an important sector, which is why we have mining.
Although still in its infancy, the AfriConfex is primed to be the country's biggest infrastructure and built environment expo through bringing together stakeholders in the sector. Lisa Masuku, ZBC News.
An arts exhibition has been held in Bulawayo this Tuesday to celebrate the role Russia and other progressive nations played in the liberation and development of Africa.
The Joshua Mkabugo Nkomo Foundation and the National Arts Gallery staged an exhibition in Bulawayo this Tuesday to celebrate the role of Russia in the liberation of Africa in general and Zimbabwe in particular.
As a foundation, what this means is that we are going to maintain the legacy. What is important is maintain and teach the legacy to the youngsters, especially the born frees, so that they know the history of Zimbabwe, the history of the liberation.
The Russians are coming here, actually, it becomes engraved in the hearts and memories of our children that this is where we came from and who the friends who helped us to get where we are today.
Russia helped main liberation movements in Africa and Zimbabwe, not as a colonial power, but as a partner.
It's a very important exhibition for us, for Russia, and for Zimbabwe as well, because it's a part of our common history. So Russia never was a colonial power. Actually, Russia was helping African nations to get liberation from the colonialism.
Zimbabwe is appreciative of the fruitful relations between the two countries.
The exhibition also reminds us of the pivotal moments that shaped our history. The 1957 Youth Festival in Moscow was a significant turning point where thousands of African youths found inspiration and opportunities for education, paving the way for future leaders who would rise to challenge colonial rule.
Zimbabwe is pursuing an enemy to none and a friend to all stance as it seeks to continuously forge mutually beneficial relations with all countries across the globe.
A mine disaster survivor from Manicaland province has recounted the horror incident that has left him paralyzed.
A mine accident which occurred in 2019 left a 37-year-old Kaumax Mkwindidza of Mkwindidza village in Mutaza South paralyzed and with deep scars. As his condition continued to deteriorate, Mukwindidza has been bedridden for years, which led to him developing serious bed sores early this year. Thanks to a medical outreach mission conducted in his area in May this year, Mukwindidza is now recovering at home.
Ndakatorwa ndiri mustate imwe kuti ndanga pedyo chaipo pekuti ndinogona kungoparara nemabed sores. Mwiri wangu wese, malower limbs aya ndandangozara maronda pese pese ari deep and angari dead zvekuti ndandapa danger.
Mukwindidza is now mobile using a wheelchair.
Ndakwanisa kufamba newheelchair. Mobile. Pane zvandanga ndiri. Sete ndandiri yanga isina kumira mushe. So ndinopa kutenda zvikuru kuna Mr. David Munowenyu nerubatsiro rwawakandipa.
Situation yanga inayo yanga yakaoma. Zvekuti inini wacho ndandakutopererwa chaiko kuti handichaziviwoba. But nhasi ndinonzwa kufara.
Government and partners spoke on the desperate situation Mukwindidza was in and concur that outreach missions help to improve the health delivery system.
Calmax was living in dilapidated conditions on wet linen, and he had developed deep excoriations, deep bed sores, multiple bed sores all over his body, and his living conditions were pathetic. Calmax had spinal injuries, spinal fractures. Unfortunately, his bones had already healed. For the bed sores to heal, thank God, and we thank Mr. David Munowenyu for his hand.
Takanga tiri very desperate kuti tingavabatsire sei, but tine tenda discovery ambulances vatinoshanda navo muno muconstituency muno mamutasa nemamwe madistrict Manicaland muno vari kutiitira basa rekubatsira vanhu vanenge vane problems akafanana neakasangana naComrade Calmax. Zviri kuratidza kuti masystems edu ari kushanda zvakanaka nekuti urwere hwanga wainawo kazhinji ndo umwe wataizonzwa zvichinzi munhu anofanira kutoenda kunze kwenyika kana kure kuti anobatsirwa, but vakwanisa kubatsirwa muno munyika yedu.
An American proverb states that all our infirmities, whatever they are just opportunities for God to display his gracious work on us. And Mukwindidza believes his recovery was a miracle. Kenya's Chivuje, ZBC News, Mutasa.
Bethsaida Apostolic Church founder Archbishop Loveless Matarirano Manango has died. He was 104.
Archbishop Manango died this Tuesday afternoon at his home in Harare. His son, Bishop Nyasha Manango, confirmed the passing on of his father, saying they have lost a great leader.
Baba wedu, Archbishop Loveless Manango, founder we Bethsaida Apostolic Church, vatisiya muzora nhasi. Zvinhu zvizhinji zvichiri pakati pekurongwa kuti baba wedu vacharadzwa kupi uyezve zvinhu zvedu zvichafamba sei. Asi mashoko atinongotenda ndeyekuti Mwari vakatiitira zvakanaka, vakachengeta muranda wavo kudarika makore anoita 100, vakachengetwa kudarika makore anoita 72 vari muministry. Vakatanga kuparidza evhangeri yaMwari mugore ra1952 muna 20 September. Asi muzuva ranhasi vazorora vachiparidza evhangeri yaMwari.
Funeral arrangements will be announced in due course. Mourners are gathered at number 129 Helensville, Borodale, Harare. He is survived by wife Tsitsi, 10 children and several grandchildren. Fungai Jachi, ZBC News, Harare.
And our main news is off to a break. We will be back with Zane and Joyce from our Pocket Hill studios in Harare for more.
EcoCash gives you more. EcoCash points are our way of saying thank you for being a loyal customer. You earn points every time you use EcoCash to send money, make payments, buy airtime, or cash out. These points accumulate and can be redeemed for voice airtime, data, or SMS. You can start redeeming your points once you reach 100 points, and redemption is in multiples of hundreds. To redeem or check points balance, dial *151*7*7# today. Terms and conditions apply. EcoCash gives you more.
Shark on the line.
He took my fish.
Did you see that? I just was like, what?
I really want you to find someone nice who would mean the world to you and make you so happy.
Bernardo Silva, Stones, Foden, a little bit of time. Oh, what a shot! What a goal! What a player!
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Teachers under the Zimbabwe Teachers Association ZIMTA banner have petitioned Parliament to push for the allocation of up to 20% of the national budget towards the education sector.
ZIMTA engaged parliamentarians in Mount Hampton this Monday on the need to increase funding of public education under the right to quality education within Article 26 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
We are also informed by the observations by the United Nations Secretary General high-level panel on the teaching profession, which has indicated that there is a world shortage of teachers, and Zimbabwe has contributed to that shortage. And our estimation is that the country should, by this time around, be engaging in excess of 18,000 teachers in order to improve the qualified teacher to people ratio. And that is what we are encouraging the parliamentarians to focus on, particularly as we approach the budget season.
Parliament took note of the request and expressed commitment towards improved funding towards the sector.
The submissions that we are getting from ZIMTA, they are saying what we want is commitment to education, and that commitment lies in the declarations that our government is party to, where 20% of the national budget should be committed to quality education.
As the Committee on Primary and Secondary Education, our main aim is to make sure that the funding for the education sector is catered for, and we are trying our best to make sure that the needs of the ministry are met.
Zimbabwe is a signatory of the Dakar Declaration, which stipulates that 20% of the national budget or 6% of the national GDP must go towards education. Farai Gwaze, ZBC News, Harare.
Many thanks for that report. The Zimbabwe and Algeria have pledged to continue supporting each other in developmental projects as a means of deepening existing ties.
Algeria annually celebrates its National Day on the 1st of November in honor of the revolution that ended 132 years of colonialism. In marking this day belatedly in Harare this Tuesday, Algerian ambassador to Zimbabwe, His Excellency Mr. Mohamed Saudi, highlighted the North African country's history in relation to Zimbabwe's struggle for independence.
The Algerian-Zimbabwean relation is deeply rooted in the contemporary history of the two countries, following their common struggles for freedom and independence from colonialism. Algeria gives its full support to the struggle of the brotherly peoples of Zimbabwe, whose foreign policy positions and principles, like those of Algeria, stem from its liberation war against the colonialism.
In a speech read on his behalf, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Trade, Professor Ayman Muruira, expressed gratitude for Algeria's support, underscoring the importance of bilateral cooperation.
Let me take this opportunity to thank the government of the People's Republic of Algeria, People's Democratic Republic of Algeria, for the scholarships that it has been granting to our students for over the years. It is noted that most of these are in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, that is STEM subjects, thereby contributing immensely to boosting human resources capacity in these key areas. We are also grateful for the offer of the 6 million donation towards the construction of a high school in Zimbabwe by the President of the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria, His Excellency Abdelmajid Tebboune, to his counterpart, the President, His Excellency Dr. Amos Tambuzo Mnangagwa.
Harare and Algiers continue to foster ties in various fields, such as education and trade, among others. Farai Gwaze, ZBC News, Harare.
Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Musa Faki Mahamat, has thrown his weight behind calls for the Pan-African Parliament, PAP, to be granted legislative powers for the institution to fully execute its mandate. He said this in a virtual address to the 4th ordinary session of the 6th Pan-African Parliament in Midrand, South Africa this Tuesday.
The Pan-African Parliament has reached the fullness of its institutional maturity, thanks to your collective wisdom and high sense of responsibility. It has also successfully overcome its initial difficulties. It is therefore high time to ensure the transformation from a consultative body to a parliamentary institution with full legislative powers. As my term of office as chairperson of the African Union Commissions comes to an end, I would like to extend my best wishes to you for progress, strength, and success. I'm also convinced that no one track, the Pan-African Parliament will work with the other organs of our union to achieve its objectives towards the Africa we want.
Meanwhile, voting is underway in the United States after a heated presidential campaign ended on Monday night.
Millions of voters are registered to cast their ballots across the United States, with 82 million people having cast their ballots in early voting. Democratic candidate Kamala Harris and Republican Donald Trump are going head-to-head in a race that remains too close to call. Harris and Trump have made their final appeals to voters in key battlegrounds states, stressing that the stakes of the November 5 vote could not be higher. In U.S. politics, presidential elections are decided by a weighted voting system known as the Electoral College, not by the popular vote. Each of the 50 states is apportioned a certain number of Electoral College votes in proportion to their population size. A presidential candidate must secure 270 electors to win. Recent polls show the candidates in a neck-to-neck battle nationally and in key battleground states such as Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Michigan.
And that's our look at regional and international news, taking us to the arts. Scores of people from Zhishavane and Berengwa districts thronged the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation radio station's roadshow held in Zhishavane this Monday as the national broadcaster reaches out to its audience.
Ranging from comical acts, musical performances by local artists, and dancing competitions by excited crowds, the oversubscribed roadshow held in Zhishavane lived to its billing. Supreme, this aptly sums up the well-attended show, which gave listeners a chance to meet their favorite presenters, while at the same time giving local budding artists a platform to carve a name for themselves.
Pakutenda zvikuru kune penyuro yenyika nemukana wakadai nekuti kazhinji tokofunga zvongoitwa kuHarare chete but taona kuti tarangarirwa kuno kuZvishavane sepaartisti ari kuZvishavane.
Kuri kudunhu kwaMambo Masunda ndichifambira kuzoona Ndundu radio president ndasingamuzivi saka ndoandavinga kuno.
ZBC Director Radio Services Mr. Albert Chekai indicated that the nationwide tours testify to the national broadcaster's mandate of educating, entertaining and informing, at the same time bridging the information gap.
ZBC, our mandate is to bring entertainment to the people, but we are not just traveling on our own. We have partners who are helping us in disseminating information, such as the ZRP, who are educating people on crimes, especially the abuse of drugs, substances.
The road shows are set to be taken to all corners of the country as the national broadcaster continues to walk the talk in implementing inclusivity in its programs. Karajushe, ZBC News, Swishawani.
The main news will take a break now. When we return, we join Anna Shemrombedzi in the Sports Corner. Stay with us.
Short on the line.
He took my fish.
Right, did you see that? I just was like, what?
I really want you to find someone nice who would mean the world to you and make you so happy.
Bernardo Silva, Stones, Foden, a little bit of time. Oh, what a shot! What a goal! What a player!
Gated Arano Movers at Luveva Stadium this Wednesday. Zimbabwe rugby team. Welcome to the Sports Corner. Anna Shemrombedzi here with the latest in the world of sport. Starting off with the good news of the Zimbabwe rugby team. The Sables thumped the United Arab Emirates 62-22 to kick off their Asian tour on a good note this Tuesday evening in Dubai.
Zimbabwe have just beaten the UAE 76-15 at the Sevens International Stadium right here in Dubai. Having led from the beginning, beating and leading the hosts by 36-6 at halftime, Zimbabwe used the entire bench with a couple of debutants coming through. This was a fantastic match to start off the beginning of Zimbabwe's Middle East and Asian tour. First stop at the UAE against the UAE right here in Dubai. Second match will be against the South Koreans next week, and I'll be following all of that. Good to see some debutants coming through. Johan Becker, as well as Carl Godwin, who has made noise and has proven himself worthy of being a Sable. Captain Hilton Mdariki is really excited and really happy, especially behind a Zimbabwean crowd that is supporting him so much. As you can see, it's all festivities with all the teams enjoying themselves right behind me. For ZBC News, I'm Jeffrey Mrimbechi in Dubai.
We continue to rally behind the Sables, who put on the world stage. Moving on, shifting to football, log leader Simba Bora are a point away from lifting the Kaswalaga Premier Soccer League title as they face relegated Arano Movers at Luveva Stadium this Wednesday.
It will be D-Day for championship chasing Simba Bora this Wednesday at Luveve. The ambitious Shamva-based side, now 90 minutes away from making history, need to collect a point away to relegated Arano Movers. The Sweet Boys kissed goodbye to the Premier Soccer League and are not under any pressure but to be party spoiler and delay Simba Bora's moment of happiness.
We are not under pressure. The pressure is on Simba because they need a point for them to clean the championship. So they will try everything. We know the first 20 minutes they look for an early goal, but we will try and defend positively and see what happens. But if we can win, it will be positive, right? It will be a positive goodbye for the PSL.
Having played for another relegated side, Bulawayo City, and now Arsenal striker Dalubuhle Dlodlo is in pain.
It's not going to be an easy game tomorrow because labo benje so bafuna ukuthatha ichild. Yes, we know ukuthi is relegated, but lathi as my players we are looking forward for something else for next year.
Match day 32 begins this Wednesday with Greenfield hosting Wange, while Bikita Minerals lock horns with Highlanders at Sakuva Stadium. ZPC Kariba face Dynamos at Nyamunga, while FC Platinum host Bulawayo Chiefs at Mandawa. The Rental square off with Chegutu Pirates as Chicken Inn hosting as the Platinum Stars at Papa Fields. On Thursday, Manika Diamonds entertain yard at Sakuva Stadium as Capes United welcome T1. Mtogozi Stube. ZPC News, Bulawayo.
Moving on, the African Union Sports Council Region 5 is in Zimbabwe to host a series of meetings pertaining to sports development. The meetings will begin this Wednesday and will see sports ministers and administrations from the Southern African region converging in Harare.
will bring together key stakeholders from across Southern Africa, among them being chief executive officers of sports commissions and their chairpersons, as well as directors of sport, permanent secretaries in the ministry responsible for sport, as well as a AUSC Region 5 tracker of ministers. The AUSC has 6 commissions. Stanley Mtoya, the region's chief executive officer, explains some of the discussions expected.
We're answering 3 questions. What do we start doing? What do we stop doing? And what new things do we start doing going forward? It's now time for our sport to move out of being a consumptive industry into a productive industry.
The discussions will also culminate in the groundbreaking ceremony of the Regional Sports Museum that is expected to be constructed at the National Sports Stadium.
We had been given space at the National Stadium. We had been given some space within the building. But His Excellency then said that for the nature and the stature of the region and the power of sport in the region, there was need to have a purpose-built museum so that we don't put it in a smaller space.
The African Union Sports Council AUSC Region 5 is the sports arm of the African Union, which was once the Organization of African Unity. The main aim of the AUSC is to use sports to achieve peace, integration and unity in Southern Africa. That is, sport as a vehicle of encouraging people to develop and come together irrespective of color, economic status, political, class and gender. Lawrence Truseda, ZBC News, Harare.
That's it from the Sports Corner. I take it back to you guys.
Oh, many thanks to Anna Shemrombedzi for giving us our daily dose of sport, and that was our last port of call. But before we go, here are stories that made the headlines. Zimbabwe is preparing to host the SADC extraordinary session, and issues to be discussed include the developments in Mozambique and the forthcoming polls in Namibia. Zimbabwe and South African provinces collaborate for development to revive the binational Trans-Limpopo Special Development Initiative. And that's it for the main news for this evening. From all of us, it's good night.
Zimbabwe yaramba, Zimbabwe yaramba, Zimbabwe yaramba. Police the police, guard the guard.